Top story at 5:30, a guilty verdict in the murder trial of Jeffrey Pyne. Let's go straight to the courthouse in Pontiac.
7 Action News reporter Jim Kurtzner has been following much of this trial. And Jim, while Pyne is heading to prison, certainly he was not convicted of the most severe charge.
Yeah, he avoided a first-degree premeditated murder conviction, which would have brought automatic life in prison without parole. We have some new information. This was a jury of 8 women and 4 men. They have chosen not to talk with us. They've been involved in this case for more than a month, but we do have new family reaction. And let me set it up for you this way. This case centered on a possible motive. It was never clearly established, only implied, and it was done this way. The victim in this case, 51-year-old Ruth Pyne, was bipolar, and she did have a history of attacking her kids when she was off her meds. Her sister was here for this verdict, giving Ruth Pyne a voice in this very emotional reaction.
She was not the monster the media portrayed her to be. Some justice was served by the guilty verdict today. I am deeply saddened by my sister Ruth's senseless death. This was a heinous crime. Ruth Pyne was a victim.
I don't believe my son would ever harm his mother. I believe there's other suspects out there that were never looked at, and that's all I can say.
Yeah, that's 53-year-old Bernie Pyne. That's Jeff's dad, Ruth's husband. Clearly, this is a family split over this case. Ruth Pyne was killed a year and a half ago, May of last year. She was found by her husband and younger daughter, beaten and stabbed to death in the garage of the family home in Highland Township. I can tell you the judge set sentencing for January 29th. It's strictly the judge's decision on how many years to sentence Jeff Pyne. The guidelines from the state are 7.5 years to 12.5 years. Carolyn and Joanne.
Now, Jim, this story has been talked about locally a lot, but of course nationally as well. And a lot of people have brought up the fact that his mother was bipolar and that her kids were, you know, they've talked about her beating them at times. Do you think that weighed on the jury's mind? Nationally, experts talked about that a lot, saying that, you know, some of the women on that jury that might have played with them because they might be mothers.
And absolutely, this was 8 women and 4 men. Again, we would have liked to have heard from jury members. They have chosen not to speak with us, so we can only speculate on that. But as I said, there was no clear motive given during this month-long trial. They had to make some inferences, and that's why this is believed to be a compromised jury. They didn't want to let him off the hook completely with a not guilty verdict. They didn't want to throw the book at him, if you will, with first degree. That's why many believe this was a second-degree murder. By the way, we will be getting some thoughts from the defense attorney. This was a gamble for him. Jim Champion, an attorney from Grand Rapids who had family connections to try this case, he chose to put on no defense and simply argued to this jury that the prosecution failed to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. We'll hear from him coming up in a half an hour.
I wonder if he's regretting that decision now, but we look forward to what he has to say tonight at 6 o'clock. Jim, thank you very much for your great coverage of this trial from the beginning.